I stepped on stage last month and told a room of 150 people that I close $1 million deals in a single transaction. Now, the room split in half instantly. One side had their arms crossed, eyes rolling, that smirk that says, "I'm sure you do." And the other side leaning forward, frantically taking notes. Look, I used to try and win over that first group. I don't anymore. Today, I'm sharing the 5 reasons I refuse to have that $1 million conversation anymore, and why this decision has transformed who I work with and the results that they get. Stay with me, because reason number 3 will show you exactly what separates experts stuck at, say, 50K deals from those that are consistently closing $1 million deals. I'm Kathryn Porritt, and let's get into it. So reason number 1, you cannot logic someone into a leap of faith. So for years, when someone questioned my pricing, I thought my job was to convince them otherwise. I'd spend 45 minutes building the case. I'd break down the value. I'd show the ROI. I'd walk them through the transformations. I'd give them the evidence, explaining why premium pricing isn't just justified, it's the only model that makes sense at the mastery level. I thought if I could just explain it clearly enough, compellingly enough, with enough proof points, enough evidence, they just get it. But they didn't, because here's what took me years to understand. When someone needs you to convince them that $1 million deals, even 100K deals, are possible, they're telling you something critical. They're announcing that they don't have the inner knowing required to operate at that level. So the question, how can you charge that much, isn't actually a question. It's a statement that I love now, because it's someone saying, I can't see myself doing that. And rather than sit with that discomfort, I'm going to make your pricing the problem instead of my limitations. Now, I know this because I used to be that person, but translation, in my immaturity, I can't charge that much, and admitting that makes me feel powerless, so I'm going to reframe my limitation as moral superiority. First reason I stopped having this conversation. People who need convincing aren't missing information, they're missing belief, and belief isn't something that you can argue someone into. Reason number 2, the middle market is collapsing right now, a brutal market reality. The middle market isn't slowly declining, it's collapsing right now. You've got volume players at the bottom with AI scaling infinitely. Systems, processes, automation. They can serve thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of clients at $500 each, and they can print money. Then you've got the icons at the top commanding $250, $500 million deals. They own the mind share. They're working with Fortune 500 celebrities, ultra high net worth individuals who don't even blink at the investment. Then there is the lost middle, the 5K to 25K zone where most experts live. That middle ground is getting crushed from both sides. You can't compete on volume with people who have better systems, bigger teams, more money, AI agents doing the work of 10 employees. And you can't compete on value with people who position themselves as the singular authority in their space. You're just stuck. Competing on price you can't sustain. Building a business that requires you to work harder every year for the same or less revenue. There's no profitable middle anymore. You either need to be exceptional at volume or exceptional at luxury. Everything else is a slow death. So I stopped trying to convince people in the middle to move up. I just started working with people who already saw it. Reason number 3, $1 million clients have the inner knowing. Now, guys, this is a big one. What actually separates experts stuck at, say, 50K from those closing $1 million deals? It's not better marketing, it's not a bigger audience, and it's not better expertise. It's an inner knowing, a real certainty, a belief system. Let me show you what I mean through real examples. Now, one of my clients just sold multiple 100K offers at an event that we hosted. The offer was really simple. You're probably, as a coach, delivering something similar to this already, but for a much lower price. It was coaching over 12 months plus 2 VIP days, one in Italy and one in Colorado where she lives, plus building out an investment together as a group. When I tell people about this, half the room thinks, I mean, that is impossible. No one would pay 100K for that. She thought that 12 months ago, but I've spent time with her over this last 12 months building up to this, and she's got a belief system that is unreal. So she designed the offer, she put it out there, and she filled it. Another client, Tina Patterson, who works with Amazon, Microsoft, Google, BMW, Visa, MasterCard, all of the biggest companies in the world at premium rates. Now, she had a health crisis that gave her an epiphany. The entire business world was operating on a fundamentally flawed premise that more hours equals more results. Now, when I worked with her, she didn't need convincing that her philosophy was world-class and therefore was worthy of premium pricing. She had an inner knowing. She just needed some way to package and position it and market it. And she is selling multiples of these every year at multiple six figures. These are big, epic contracts with her most ideal clients where she gets the biggest impact. So here's what separates them from experts stuck at 50K, 25K. The 50K experts need external validation. They need the market research. They need the proof that someone else has done it first. They need permission. They probably need templates. They need all of the things to copy and put their own words into it. The $1 million clients, they already know. They might not know how to close those deals yet. They might not know exactly who they're selling it to or what the offer looks like, but they've got faith that they have what it takes and they're willing to learn it, believe it, know it, do what it takes to make it happen. That's the third reason I stopped the conversation. I am no longer in the business of manufacturing belief. I can't believe it more than my client does. I'm in the business of showing people who already believe how to make it real. Reason number 4, the conversation attracts the wrong people. When we relaunched our groups after a few years away from them, we made one critical change. We stopped letting people in who needed convincing. Our $1 million offer incubator, Iconic Brand Live, is only for people who already get it. These are people who are ready to park the false humility, who understand that playing at the top of the market isn't fairy tale thinking. It's the only viable strategy left. You see, I used to have to spend a lot of time in the convincing, and then the people who believed weren't getting my attention. So I've swapped that round. And the quality of these groups is unlike anything that I've experienced in almost a decade of doing this work. We are literally building the greatest greatness community in the world. Everyone who is in them is the very best in the world at what they do. They're happy to own that. They're thinking generations ahead. They're building legacy wealth, not just income and not just a business. Icons lift icons. So here's what I've learned. The conversation you're willing to have determines the clients that you attract. So when I was willing to convince people, I was attracting people who needed convincing, people who questioned, people who compared, people who needed constant evidence, people who wanted to understand every detail before they'd commit to anything, people who, when someone sold $1 million offer or 100K offer or 400K offer, peppered that person with who did you do it with, what was in the offer, where did you do it, what DM did you send? All of the things that actually don't lead to the outcome. So when I stopped having that conversation, everything changed. I started attracting people like Megan Young, who runs 2 metalsmithing schools in incredible locations, has a multi-million-dollar funnel, and designs exclusive collections for entrepreneurs. Listen, Megan came ready to build, not ready to be convinced. Having the convincing conversation, it actually attracts people who need convincing. And those are not the people who build empires. Reason number 5, it is a waste of both our time. And it's really the most practical. The people who need convincing will never become the clients who transform. Look, I like to believe the best in everyone. I used to think I was being generous by spending time explaining, educating, building the case, that I was serving people by showing them what's possible. But here's what I've realized. I wasn't serving them. I was enabling them to stay stuck, because the issue was never that they didn't understand the pricing. The issue was that they weren't ready to own their mastery at that level. And no amount of my explaining was ever going to create that readiness. Meanwhile, there are people out there right now who do have that inner knowing, who are ready, who just need someone to show them the roadmap. These are my people, the ones in that second half of the room, the ones who leaned forward when I said $1 million deals. The ones who didn't need convincing, they just needed the how. So the 5th reason that I stopped the conversation, listen, I'm too busy. Life's too short to spend it convincing people of what they're not ready to believe. I mean, I'd rather spend it with people who are ready to build, who have the belief and are ready to go. So here's where we land. If you're the person who gets it, who felt that pull when I said $1 million deals, who's been thinking bigger than the market tells you that you're allowed to, who has the inner knowing, even if you don't have the roadmap, the positioning, you don't have the connections yet. Listen, I can show you how. That's exactly what I do. So for you, I've created a free masterclass called the $1 Million Magnet. I break down the exact positioning strategy, the psychology of luxury clients, and the framework that icons use to command these $1 million fees in one deal. The link to that masterclass is in the description below. But if you need me to explain why $1 million positioning makes sense, why premium clients exist, and why this isn't a fantasy, I am not your person. And that is totally okay. I'm just not having that conversation anymore. So drop a comment below with the words inner knowing if you're the person who already gets it. I want to hear from you.